Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to our class. I'm your instructor Adil Raza, and today we have to learn an SLO from grade 6 unit 8, and it's our SLO of reading. So let's find out what is the competency and what is the SLO. So here we have the competency of reading for this lecture, and it is our lecture 4B, and the SLO is basically concerned on figures of speech. So let's find out what the SLO is, what the SLO is saying. Identify the use of some figures of speech like simile, metaphor, personification and hyperbole. So in this SLO we will identify how while reading we have to understand different figures of speech. So you guys have an idea what is meant by figures of speech, and you have read the figures of speech in the vocabulary sections, but there we will apply our knowledge of different figures of speech and use that knowledge while reading to understand the text in a better way. So here is the vertical linkage. Let's go further. Here is a brainstorming activity. What is the brainstorming prompt? Let's find out. Have you ever thought about what a tree can do? Can you imagine hearing a tree talk? So here the brainstorming prompt, we have to here is an example that have you ever seen, or we can say that here the tree is listening or the tree is speaking. It is because of personification, because in personification the non-human objects actually talks or do the same things like the humans, which happens through the use of figures of speech, like in the poem which we have to read today. So let's find out firstly what the metaphor is, and then we will see what is meant by the personification, and then we will apply our knowledge of metaphor and personification on the reading of the poem. So in this lecture we will don't discuss the metaphor and personification in detail. We have discussed them in detail in our lecture 3. So that's why we just partially go through the concepts and then we will apply our knowledge in reading. So let's find out what is meant by a metaphor. A metaphor makes a direct comparison between two different things or ideas without using as or like. So in metaphor, as we have learned before, it is actually a figure of speech in which we create or make comparison between two things on the base of a certain quality which is same. So on the base of a same quality, we compare two different objects, two different things. Like here we have an example. Her eyes were diamonds, so her eyes were bright and diamonds are also bright and shiny. That's why we compare these two things because of a similar quality. That's why here we use metaphor. And because we don't use as or like, that's why it's metaphor. If we use her eyes are like the diamonds, then it will be a simile. In simile we use as and like, but in metaphor we don't use as or like. We just say the directly the thing is this, like he is lying. It means that here is a metaphor. We said him the line directly. It is because we use metaphor. So let's go further. Here we have personification. The word personification, as I have taught before, comes from person. It means that to make something human which is not human, which is not person. Persons mean human, or we can say that a man. So to personify means that to make something human which is not human. So that's why it is personification. In this figure of speech we associate humanistic attributes to a thing which is not human or which is not a person. So personification is giving human qualities to non-living, not actually the non-living, to the non-human things, we have to say. It's a mistake in the book which we have correct in the next edition, which we will do correct in the next edition. So giving non-human qualities to non-human things or ideas is actually a figure of speech which is called personification. Like the flowers nodded, or we can say that the sun kissed. So sun kissed, it means that we personify the sun, or we can say that the air said to me, you are a good man. So the saying is actually a humanistic attribute. That's why we personifying the air. So to giving any non-human thing, a humanistic attribute is considered as personification, and we will see different examples of personification. So because our SLO is about the reading, so we have to find out such type of figurative devices while reading and try to understand what is the meaning of them. So let's find out. Here we have the poem Heartwood from our text. So let's read. Would you hear me? So here the tree is actually talking, and tree is the narrator of the poem, and the tree is saying that would you hear me to the heartwood cutter. So here the me referred as the tree is speaking. So when something speaks which is not human, and speaking is a humanistic attribute, it means that there a figure of speech is used, which means personification. So we can say that their personification is used. So that's why we can say that here the personification is used because a tree is talking. Would you leave me open hearted? So here the all the poem is actually a personified poem because a tree is telling his story. Put an ear to my bark cutter, hear my sap sputter, mark my heartwood's beat, my leaves flutter. So here you can see the examples of personification. The whole poem is actually based on the personification, and in this a tree is personified who is telling his story, how one man is coming to him and now he tried to cut him out. Would you turn into timber cutter? Leave me nothing but a heap of logs, pile of brush. I am a world cutter. I am a maker of life. So here we can say that the tree use hyperbole. In hyperbole we exaggerate something, or we can say that we extend any statement which is not as which is not written as it is meant. So the tree has a part. The trees are a very significant part of the ecosystem, but the trees are not the life itself. So that's why here he used the hyperbole. The poet used the hyperbole. Drinker of rain, breaker of rocks, cost of shade, eater of sun, I am timekeeper, breath giver, deep thinkers cutter, I am city of butterflies and a country of creatures. So here you can find that how the tree is personified, how the tree is personified in a manner the students can understand if they have an idea of personification. So here the tree is personified, and different hyperbole and different metaphors are also used throughout the poem. He said himself that I'm the world of butterflies. So world of butterflies, actually the butterflies lives in greenery or near the we can say that the plants or the flowers, and he saying the whole ecosystem is myself. It's actually a metaphor. So here you can find out a number of examples of metaphors, and the whole poem is actually personification based poem. So that's how we have to understand different figures of speech while reading a poem or any piece of writing. So let's go further. I hope you guys have understand how you have to identify or understand different figures of speech while reading. So here is the classroom activity which is based on your SLO. You can go through this activity according to the knowledge which you have learned from this video. So let's go further. Here is the simulation. The simulation is also tell you about different figures of speech, and through the understanding of this video's link which is in the description, you can understand different figures of speech in a better way. So let's go further. Here we have a worksheet. Pause the video, attempt this worksheet according to the knowledge, according to the learning which you have take from this video, and this will help to create your skills of the according to the SLO. So let's go further. Here is the homework. This homework is also according to the SLO. Try to make it in a very better way. So let's go further. Here we have a resource pack. This resource pack will assist you to attain the SLO, to achieve the SLO. It will help you to take the student learning outcome in a better way. I hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope you guys enjoy the lesson. You have an I hope you have a better understanding of personification and metaphor, and how to identify personification and metaphor while reading. If you find any issue, any question, any doubt, you can ask in the comment section and ask from your teacher as well. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.